just one gun, they'd be alive today. Just one gun.
Hi, I'm Alex Kincaid. Welcome to the Gun Law Podcast. Today's episode is all about what the hell just happened in California. Well, it's actually not too surprising given that this is one of our states with some of the strictest gun control in the country, and also the state that has spawned the situation where citizens are actually prohibited from carrying their firearms outside of their own homes. But what we saw last week was a whole new set of bills that have been turned into law by Governor Brown that are turning law-abiding gun owners into criminals. What did they pass? Well, let's take a look. There's 6 of them. Nothing, by the way, that is actually going to have any effect on crime, but plenty of things that can get gun owners into trouble if you live in the state of California and don't know about the new laws and fail to comply and get caught, but also for people who travel to California. Just last week, someone asked me about whether they could bring a handgun to California if they had it in open carry. Folks, slow down and take some time to actually get the right answers before you act and before you think that you can travel around this country freely with your firearm. Those days are over, and we need to fight back. Here's what California has done now. Bill number 1, this is Senate Bill 1235, and what it requires is that the Attorney General of California is now going to have to keep a lot of records that pertain to the purchase of ammunition. This is very similar to a law that we saw in the 80s that was being utilized at the federal level. That law was done away with in part because the director of the ATF said that it had no relation to limiting crime or to affecting crime in a positive way, but instead it was overburdening the government with record-keeping requirements. And we all know California has plenty of money, right? Everybody pays their taxes, and they can afford to hire new people to keep a whole host of new paperwork. But that's what they've done with respect to ammunition. Now you're going to have to apply for a license. There's a whole lot of record keeping, and supposedly this is going to somehow prevent the criminals from purchasing ammunition and using guns in criminal activity. Okay. There's number 1. The federal crime, by the way, was repealed in 1986 with the passing of the Firearm Owners Protection Act, in part because of the information provided by the ATF that it did nothing. So California law number 2 that was signed into law last week is Assembly Bill 1695.
This law says that if you file a false report about a lost or stolen firearm, you can be convicted of a misdemeanor, and if you are, remember this is a misdemeanor, folks, not a felony. If you're convicted of this crime, they're going to take away your Second Amendment right for 10 years.
Then we have Assembly Bill 1511. This bill is just lovely, and what it does is it says if you want to temporarily loan or even store your firearm with another person that you know and who you trust, that person and you are now going to be the subjects of background checks, unless there's a very limited exception that applies for spouses, parents, child, siblings, grandparents, and grandchildren. So think about this for a minute. If you go on vacation and you want to have a house sitter and you leave firearms in the possession of whoever's in your home, and it's a trusted friend or a relative who's a little more removed than these limited exceptions, you're going to have to go to the dealer, transfer each and every one of those firearms with background check to that person. Wait 10 days under California law for the waiting period to pass. Then you can take your trip and you can leave the firearms with that other person. And then when you come back, you can go through the same routine. 2 background checks, 2 10-day waiting periods, multiple trips to the gun dealer, a whole host of utter nonsense. Now we have another bill. We've heard this type of a law before, and in fact other states have similar issues with how many rounds can you put in a magazine. California Senate Bill 1446, signed into law last week by Governor Brown, says no more than 10 rounds. So again, this is similar to federal legislation that we had from 1994 to 2004. It was allowed to sunset and go away because it did absolutely nothing to deter the criminals. All it does is place more bureaucracy on us, the law-abiding American citizens who want to exercise our Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. There's Assembly Bill 1135 and Senate Bill 880. And guess what we're doing here? There's more assault weapons than we knew about. So California, of course, was the first state in the country to come up with this phrase, assault weapon, and apply it to guns that aren't assault weapons at all. Semi-automatic rifles. Now, with these two bills being signed into law, California has created hundreds of thousands of other assault weapons in the state that are going to be a problem for gun owners. And part of the issue with these two bills is that we have a little problem called a bullet button. And this is really dangerous. So we needed to make sure that people didn't have these bullet buttons because California law prevented detachable magazines on certain firearms. And the bullet button was a way that manufacturers came up with to still allow gun owners to exercise their Second Amendment rights by detaching a magazine that was otherwise fixed. They got around the wording in the definition a little bit. And you can detach the magazine by sticking an object in this little button, sometimes a bullet, hence the phrase bullet button. Those are now illegal. Don't do that. Very bad. I'm sure criminals use them all the time. So, no more bullet buttons. Again, the assault weapons bans, the detachable magazines, all of these laws, absolutely no evidence that these laws do anything to deter the real criminals. All they do is place a burden on us, the gun owners. So if you're wondering what in the world went on in California last week, and I'm sure there's more to come because there always is, that's my rendition of the new laws that the residents of the great state of California get to deal with. Thank you for listening to the Gun Law Podcast. As always, check out my website at alexkincaid.com. Get your copy of my book, Infringed, and follow me on all the social media channels. I'd love to hear from you.
Just one gun could have stopped the madman in his tracks. Just one gun, they'd be alive today. Just one gun.
This is an important message about your liberty.
So the notion that gun laws don't work, it's not borne out by the evidence.
We need universal background checks. We know that they will work. We need to...
Politicians continue to call for more gun control. Yet so many laws already exist, the American gun owner is often left confused about the legality of their own common everyday behaviors. Attorney and former prosecutor Alex Kincaid knows that too many responsible gun owners violate laws that they don't know even exist. And her goal is to stop that. Now get Kincaid's new book, Infringed. Larry Pratt of Gun Owners of America says that Infringed should be on the shelf of every American gun owner. Infringed debuts November 25th, but pre-order today and receive an autographed hard copy edition at $5 off. Visit alexkincaidlaw.com now. That's alexkincaidlaw.com. Get Infringed. Get it today. alexkincaidlaw.com.